Hi, it's Abby. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to talk about something called Satori today, and this is sort of a hard thing to describe and explain. I don't have the exact definition, but it basically means like an experience of enlightenment and a one with all consciousness. And it's a fleeting experience. And I remember before I was on any sort of intentional or conscious um, spiritual path, I used to have it a lot in nature. So I would go hiking and I would have the experience of being outside and maybe by water. I remember I experienced it a lot looking at water. So either at the ocean or by the river. And I would experience this complete cessation of thought. And it just was this knowing. It was a knowing that I was one with all around me and that my physical body was just an illusionary limitation. So it would only last for a few moments. It would be really nice. And yeah, I would experience that pretty commonly. Another time that I think pretty much everyone experiences Satori moments is when you're in the initial stages of being in love in a relationship, because you're having the same experience, but that quickly gets conflated with the hormones, like chemicals of attraction, and it never lasts that long. Like you might go into a compatible relationship, but you lose those initial experiences where you have moments where you feel like you're one with everything. In fact, you probably don't even remember that having them sometimes, especially if the relationship goes sour. But that's typically when people feel them. But someone who's having an enlightenment, oftentimes they had a catalyst to their awakening experience, a painful one. That's usually what causes an awakening, is pain. So it could be that they had a really bad illness or they lost a loved one, twin flame experience, something like just really catastrophic, a trauma, something like that. Out of the pain comes a transcendence. Sometimes it's an opportunity to have this transcendence where we feel all of a sudden that we have been released from the bondage of that emotional or physical pain, and we have this moment where we see, oh, this is just fleeting. This physical experience is not me. The thoughts are not me. I am one with all. I am. So that can be the beginning of something that is an intentional spiritual path, because that person realizes there's other options than suffering. And if they don't take that other road, they will go back to the suffering. So that's why oftentimes a painful physical world experience leads to a spiritual path. Because the average person who's not suffering tremendously is not going to have an incentive to go down a spiritual path. I hope that makes sense, but I'm sure it does if you're watching this channel. I'm sure you understand. So I was having a conversation with a client of mine recently because she said that she's, for the first time, having a daily meditation practice. It was always sporadic beforehand, and she's not experiencing regular Satori during meditation. And I haven't experienced Satori during meditation for like years. So I forgot. I'm going on my 5th year of a daily practice, and I forgot that that was actually something I experienced during sitting and meditating in the morning. And yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's why people get into it. That's sort of the incentive. But it doesn't mean I don't have them anymore. And I think that if you're on a spiritual path, it's important to realize that they do increase, and not only in frequency, but in the actual experience. So it's not that I no longer feel that sensation that I used to of being in nature, not experiencing thought or physicality, just that oneness. I actually experience that pretty much most of the time. But my Satori experiences have evolved to something that's a full body experience. So this started about a little over a year ago. I think I've said before on this channel that I often do this very specific meditation when I'm like later in the day or when I'm walking, and it's by Joe Dispenza. It's called the box meditation. And I started to experience this thing where I would have like this full body shiver, almost like kind of like ASMR, when you listen to ASMR and you get the shivers. And like it would almost be like my body was convulsing, but in a positive way. I've never talked about this before, by the way, to anyone. And when I would have it is specifically when I would have the visualization that he walks people through in that meditation of dissolving into the darkness, like the dissolution of the self into all that is. For some reason, like that gives me that sensation. And it was great. So I was doing that meditation every day, and I was having them like 10, 15 times during the meditation commonly. But then I started to experience this at other times. So then I started experiencing it during yoga, which I have been doing again daily for years, but never was I reaching Satori moments during yoga, like, you know, saying. And then I started to experience it during dance, because I've been doing dance pretty much daily with some exceptions for about 2 years now. And then like at certain points I was experiencing it during my affirmations as well, because I do those every day in the mirror. And if you haven't seen my daily routine, I actually released a video called 24 Hours in Sedona Quarantine about a year ago. And really my routine has not changed all that much. It's just that now I don't live in Arizona and it's not summer, so I'm not constricted to the indoors during the day. But other than that, I do the same things I was doing in the video, just in a different order maybe. But I digress. So I now experience it commonly just walking around like the neighborhood. It's really not something that can be planned. And that is what I was talking about with my client, and also what I wanted to say in this video is you cannot plan this, because planning something is the mind. I find that having a daily routine or multiple rituals that I do every day is conducive to more Satori moments. But having that sensation of the third dimension, the physical experience, and I guess also the fourth dimension, because the fourth dimension is like the mind, thoughts, and the experience of time and space. Having all that fall away, it just happens. So, but the experience can become more commonplace for you. So like I said, I never was having these full body experiences before, like 4 or 5 years ago. I was having once in a while experiences that are now pretty much my general state for the most part, right? Like not always, obviously. And I'm not like a master at all. I'm entering into what I guess would be an intermediate phase of a conscious spiritual journey, because it's, yeah. But in the beginning, there's a lot of questions. So that's what I'm sort of addressing from the point of view that I'm in. But yeah, I'm having these full body experiences. And so I'll be walking around and I'll just see something in nature maybe, or even just something like a house. I don't even know what it is. It's energy that I'm clearly resonating with, but in different physical forms. And I will like, like my eyes like roll back into my head. This is really weird to talk about, but like, it's almost like a convulsion, I guess. I don't know. I've been told I have convulsed, but I was passed out at the time, so I don't remember it. but I never remember having an actual convulsion. So I don't know if this is what it feels like, but it's pleasant, first of all. And it's like full body, whole like spine up and down, like tenses up, and like my eyes are rolled back. And it's only for a few moments, but they can happen back to back to back sometimes. And it's definitely the experience that I am one. Like this is what I'm actually experiencing, other than that physical stuff, is like I am completely connected with everything. Very hard to verbalize with words because words are limitations. But yeah, it's definitely a sensation that I am love, right? Like I am all that is. I'm not explaining it. But it happens a lot. And so I'm still at the point where I don't know if this is forever, but I will have dips in certain parts of my routine. So some things never stop. Like I don't ever not meditate. Even if I only have a few fleeting moments of presence because I'm particularly stressed out because I probably have been neglecting yoga commonly this year, or walking, or just another part of my routine. So my physical body isn't in a state that my mental self is calm enough during my sitting in the morning. So I may not have more than a few moments of like extreme presence, but I'm still going to sit for the allotted time. And the same thing with pretty much all parts of my routine. But I have been struggling this particular year with daily yoga, and I have recommitted to it. In fact, this year has been a testimony to me to how much of a priority it truly is. So that is something I'm very thankful for sure. But I've noticed that when that dips, I won't have as many Satori moments, if any, during a day. There may be a whole week I'll go where I don't have those full body experiences, but then when I get back on track, again, I could have like 10 to 15 or more a day. And that's nice. And it's not really like the physical experience I'm looking for, because I could just watch ASMR for that, you know. But it's what's occurring. You know, it's like the knowing. It's this connection that is really awesome. That I think everyone is ultimately striving for. But what it is it's just us remembering what we actually are. So it's like all of the limitations that I am choosing, consciously or unconsciously, fall away for a few moments, and I experience fully that which I am, which is all that is. And it's incredible. And yeah, that is my video. So I would love to know if anybody else has had that full body experience. I have not talked about this before. The only time I've ever heard somebody have something like this was, I know that Abraham Hicks, like Esther, who channels Abraham, she had a very easy experience when she started meditating. She just never had any resistance. She had a very easy childhood, she said. So she just didn't have a lot of the dysfunction, which is great. And she was an easy vessel for source. So it just started to come in, and she immediately started channeling after not too long, because she said like an entity would move her head around and her nose is actually spelling things out, she started to realize. And then Abraham started coming through more and more clearly. And so I think she said something about having that sensation in the beginning. That's the only time I've ever heard of that. So if you've had that before, I'd love to know. You could leave a comment maybe and tell me all your experiences. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel, and have a beautiful day. I love you. Bye-bye.